With many people working from home, virtual meetings are becoming the norm. But how normal is it to interact with multiple friends and colleagues through a screen? And what are the effects on your body and mind? Well, joining me now to talk about Zoom fatigue is Dr. Janine Hubbard. Hi, Dr. Hubbard.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
Thank you so much for dropping by virtually. So, Dr. Hubbard, what is Zoom fatigue?
Now, Zoom fatigue, and this applies to all of the different digital platforms, not just Zoom, is what we're finding is happening to people the more time they're spending having meetings and socializing online. It was something I noticed the first week of the pandemic happening to myself. I was attending meetings with people I like that I regularly meet with, and I would finish the meeting and just feel absolutely exhausted. So I got really curious as to what was going on and whether it was just me, and it turns out it's not. This seems to be a thing that we are, as a society, now experiencing.
Yeah, but that's interesting because you experienced it firsthand. So why do you think it happens? What did you find out when you researched?
Well, see, I'm a geeky psychologist. When we have something interesting happen, we go and research it. There's a few factors. One of them is, depending on how the setup is happening, you are focused on the fact that you're looking at yourself on a screen during a meeting. That's not something that happens in a naturalistic setting. So there's this pressure to be on, there's this pressure to be watching what you're doing at all times. And it can make you very self-conscious of, oh, is that the face I'm making? Or, oh, look, I'm scratching my face and I'm not supposed to be touching my face. It can make you self-conscious about what's happening behind you. Are my kids screaming? Is my dog barking? Is the cat walking across the keyboard? And it has to do with the degree of eye contact and the lack of nonverbal cues that we normally have. Normally, if I'm sitting around a table with 12 people, I'm not staring at all of them face on. I may be looking at one person, but I'm also engaging in a lot of very subtle nonverbal cues, little nudges, little, just kind of watching that body language. And especially when we're doing meetings where we're all in mute, except for whoever is perhaps presenting, we're doing these very exaggerated nods and, oh, look, I agree. And it's very artificial, and it absolutely can be draining. So we want to make people aware of it, because there are things that, can make it a little bit easier. We're never going to get rid of the artificiality of it, but at least we can learn to work with it.
Right, because we don't really know when this will end, how much longer we'll be relying on virtual online meetings and those platforms. So what can we do to reduce this Zoom fatigue?
Well, really, like a lot of things in society at the moment, we're finding a new form of etiquette. In the same way we have etiquette lining up at the grocery store, we now have Zoom etiquette in terms of making sure people know it's okay. If you need to turn off the video and just listen on audio, that's fine. That's not a sign of disrespect. Same thing, it's okay to be looking away. It's okay if you are someone who needs to be, doodling or making notes. Those are all things that are okay while we're doing this. And then make sure to be taking lots of breaks, to be giving your eyes a break, but also to be giving your brain a break. So interrupt a meeting partway through and have everybody get up and just physically move, get their faces away from the screens. And then in terms of some of your socializing, maybe pick up the phone. I know it sounds crazy, but if you are someone who is spending all day long doing business activities virtually, cut yourself a break. And we're adjusting to it. We're figuring it out. We're actually discovering that therapy via telehealth can actually provide some additional intimacy and some comfort that we never would have expected. But we're all adjusting to this, and we're figuring it out as we go along. And so be kind to yourself and be kind to the people in your meetings.
Well, thank you. That's some great advice. And thank you so much for joining us this evening. And I'll give you a little screen break now as we say goodbye.
Thanks so much.